All right, so you have received your sourdough starter, and now, even though you've read the directions, I know it can be confusing on how to or when to feed the starter. So I'm gonna show you step by step here how to do it. So let's say you get your starter in a jar like this. Now, if you were to feed it as is, this will overflow because it's going to typically double in size, and you have to take into consideration the flour and water you're gonna add as well. So let me grab my measuring cup. So I know that I just put this in here, so it's 2/3 cup. So what you wanna do is you wanna take half of it out so that you have half as the part of it that you're gonna feed, and then the other half as like the sourdough discard. So every time you go to feed it, you want to take half of it out. So what I'm going to do is take half of this, and I'm gonna actually use a bigger jar so that I know that I have enough room in the jar for the feeding. So this is 2/3 cup. I just measured it to pour it in there. So we're gonna put 1/3 or half of that amount, which is 1/3 cup, into a nice clean jar like this. Okay, so we have a new jar. This one you can leave as it is. You can look up sourdough discard recipes, but you can also feed this one if you want to have 2 separate starters. That is totally fine. It's typically what I end up doing with mine. So now, to find my other measuring cup, where did I put that? I don't know, so give me 1 second. So when I feed my starter, I do a 1:1:1 ratio, meaning you have 1 part starter, 1 part flour, and 1 part water. Now, because I've been doing this for a little bit longer, I have learned that I need less water, because what you want to do is you're trying to get a pancake-like consistency. So sometimes I use just a little bit less water so that it doesn't get too runny. So I'm gonna add to the jar 1/3 cup of flour, and then just a little less than 1/3 cup of water. Now my discard right now, it's been sitting on the counter for a couple days, so it is a little bit thinner. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit less than 1/3 cup of water. Now you can find these off of Amazon. They're just wooden spatulas. Do not use metal, they say. You can use like a rubber spatula or the wooden. And so then you're going to mix the starter, flour, and water. Hi. Okay, so I'm gonna show you the consistency that you're aiming for. So I've mixed everything here in the jar, and this is the consistency. So it's a little bit thicker than pancake batter. I have a pretty strong starter, so this will start to kind of wake back up within like the next hour or 2. To know that you have a strong starter, you will see like it double in size within like 4 to 6 hours, they say. But I always feed my starter at night before I go to bed so that in the morning it's ready to use for my baking. You want to also just kind of scrape down the sides like so. And if you want, you can grab a rubber band and mark your jar, or you can grab like a Sharpie, or not a Sharpie, that would be good, a dry erase marker so that you can see where it is. So I'm gonna do that. And then in the next video, I will show you where it came. So we're right there. Okay, so I'm gonna cover this and let it sit overnight, and it should double in size. Now I'm gonna show you my other starter that I have here. So I just fed this starter a couple hours ago, maybe an hour ago, I don't remember. But it has already, it was probably to like here. So it's already starting to kind of feed itself. See those nice bubbles, nice strong starter. So this has a little bit more ways to go. And that is how you get started on feeding the starter. Now, got stuff everywhere already. So then this, like I said, is the discard. You can feed this one if you want. You can see, even though it's been sitting there a couple days and I haven't fed it, it's still somewhat active. There are some little bubbles in there. I'm not going to feed that one because I don't need that much starter. I have a lot going on. But if you tend or want to bake multiple breads a week, you probably want to start a couple different sourdough starters. All right, so that is the first step.